This week, the CIA be spying. Microsoft has to pull back and update. POS systems are hacked. The CVS app is a POS. A secret NSA code, refunds for tech support scam victims, the IoT problem again, and Android botnets. Jason Wood from Paladin Security joins us this week for our expert commentary on a story about a judge who scaled back a data demand on an inauguration riot-related website. All that and more on this episode of Hack Naked News. This is Security Weekly, for security professionals, by security professionals. Broadcasting live from G-Unit Studios in Rhode Island, it's the show that brings you the security news each week. And despite popular belief, we do wear pants. It's Hack Naked News.
Most of the organizations I work with, they have
released. Yes, you read it.
Actually do
the original Linux kernel security with Linux kit.
So I hope everybody has their resistance built up.
Brought to you by IT Pro TV is the resource to keep you and your IT team's skills up to date. IT Pro TV's team solution provides group pricing and access to their supervisor portal. You'll gain full control over your team's training schedule, see individual and group analytics, and more. IT Pro TV does IT live every day, so you know you're getting the most current IT training. Go to itpro.tv/hacknaked and use the code HN30 to try it free for 7 days and receive 30% off your monthly membership for the lifetime of your active subscription. To learn more about IT Pro TV's team solution, sign up for a free demo of their supervisor portal. Do you have a website, an external presence, employees, an office? Any of these things can be compromised and attacked. How are you defending these assets? Have you penetration tested these public assets? Start 2017 by taking a proactive approach to securing your vulnerable areas. Black Hills Information Security has been helping companies find their weaknesses since 2008. Email consulting@blackhillsinfosec.com and see how they can help you sleep better at night. I would like to welcome you to Hack Naked News, episode 138, recorded August 29th, 2017, right here in G-Unit Studios. That's right, I am your host, Paul Asadorian. A couple of quick announcements before we jump right into the security news for this week. Go to itpro.tv/hacknaked and use the discount code HN30. Try it free for 7 days. Get 30% off your monthly membership for the lifetime of your active subscription. Encourage your employer to sign up for the supervisor portal where they can buy you training, assign you training, and keep tabs on your training so you have a fantastic training and learning experience. So go do that and visit our fine friends at itpro.tv. Whether they're phishing, hacking, or spying, threat actors are using domains and IP addresses to launch their attacks. That's right, myself, Joff Thayer, and experts from Domain Tools, Kyle and Tim, will be on a webcast talking about some open source methods that you can use to filter out domains because your users click on stuff. And they're going to click on stuff. So you can make it safer for them to accidentally or on purpose click on stuff by listening to our webcast. That's right, go to domaintools.com/securityweekly and register today. And now I will present to you as soon as my piece of crap teleprompter. Okay, and now for the security news. The CIA created bogus software claiming to be an update to steal data from the NSA and the FBI. The data stealing Trojan was created as part of a CIA project called Express Lane, a piece of software installed by CIA office as part of the Office of Technical Service agents under the guise of upgrading CIA's biometric collection system. This biometric system is installed as a liaison service or partners of the CIA, such as NSA, Department of Homeland Security, and the FBI, according to WikiLeaks, which released the Express Lane documents as part of its Vault 7 collection. And so it's unlikely that this specific version of Express Lane is still supported given the documents are dated 2009 and the described functionality for Windows XP, including software that pretends to be an installer. However, I'm certain none of this activity is still happening today. Of course it is. Microsoft yanks a buggy patch, KB 4039884. That's right. If you've installed KB 4039884, there's no official confirmation and no explanation, of course, from Microsoft. But overnight, Microsoft pulled a patch that was supposed to fix the main problems in this month's Windows 7 security updates. Turns out the patch removes the DLL used by other software such as the Dell Support Assistant, which you probably don't want to run anyhow. So I would call this patch a success, I think. Still, the lack of details from Microsoft is very Apple-like, so Microsoft cut that out. SAP point-of-sale systems were totally hackable with a $25 kit. Point-of-sale systems from SAP had a vulnerability that allowed them to be hacked using a $25 Raspberry Pi or similar device, according to research unveiled at the Hack in the Box conference in Singapore last week. Critical vulnerabilities in SAP's POS, since resolved, created a means for hackers not only to steal customers' cards, but gain unfettered control over the server, enabling them to change prices of the goods with help of a simple device, according to company ERP Scan. Good news is, this has been fixed. Well, at least the patch is available. The bad news is, point-of-sale systems from SAP had a vulnerability that allowed them to... Oh, I said that already. Sorry, there's a duplicate in there. The bad news is they're installed like all over the place. I apologize for not having the exact quote, but they're used by a large number of Fortune 2000 companies, including retailers across the world, who hopefully, of course, have all patched by this time. Speaking of POS, CVS app sends your location data to outside servers. Thanks to a coding error with the CVS app, the massive U.S. retail pharmacy has been inadvertently sharing users' location with more than 40 web servers, privacy experts have claimed. Basically, this app sends your location data to destinations other than CVS. This app is horrible. I am a former user of this app. I am not surprised by this finding. It makes me want to cry, and I can tell the development team was not anywhere close to top-notch by using this app because it's really crappy. CVS also declined to comment, which is also really crappy. Secret NSA codes in Intel chips opens a backdoor to computers. It seems some government customers, however, can request Intel's always-on management engine, or ME, master controller for its CPU to be disabled. That's not an option for the general public, but researchers at Russian security firm Positive Technologies have found a way to use these government-only privileges to disable ME. Yeah, so not cool implementing features, even if the feature is disabling a feature as a feature to only select customers. Not cool. The FTC is to issue refunds following tech support scams. The FTC is notifying victims of a tech support scheme who are eligible for a partial refund, the commission announced today. Hundreds of thousands of people were deceived in an operation that ran from April 2012 to November of 2014. Love this positive news. However, as our expert Jason Wood pointed out just before the show, you have until October 27th to claim your refund, which is not that far from now, so get on that. I do love this positive news, and there is a $10 million pile of money. Kind of reminds me of that big pile of money from the TV show where he cooks with Breaking Bad. Yeah. Anyway, I'm sure it's not like that. It's in a bank somewhere, not in a storage unit. Anyway, Telnet credential leak reinforces bleak state of IoT security. This is not new, but a testament to this problem having no solution. Basically, Johannes Ulrich of the SANS Institute, who is an awesome person, by the way, and runs an awesome podcast as well. Johannes has twice now put out their vulnerable DVRs that have been compromised instantly on the internet. Johannes comments, as this is a reoccurring theme, and his quote is, "It remains to be seen if legislation is needed to secure these devices or some form of certification that would be reflected in a simple-to-identify logo." He goes on to say, "But I do think we may end up with some kind of legislation that may prohibit the sale of devices that are not considered safe, similar to what we have for food or electrical appliances." I share Johannes' thoughts and opinions as well, and I agree with them. However, it is a problem that is not being fixed today. The WireX DDoS botnet, an army of thousands of hacked Android smartphones. A team of security researchers from several security firms have uncovered a new widespread botnet that consists of tens of thousands of hacked Android smartphones. Dubbed WireX, detected as an Android clicker, The botnet network primarily includes infected Android devices running one of the hundreds of malicious apps installed from the Google Play Store and is designed to conduct massive application layer distributed denial of service attacks. Google now has removed the offending applications or apps, but two things that I want to point out. One, Google has to come up with a better way to improve the integrity of the Android App Store. And two, it's only a matter of time before ransomware on Android devices becomes widespread and forces Google's hand on point number one. With that, we're going to take a short break, come back, and talk with Jason Wood from Paladin Security. Stay tuned. Has your network been breached? Cybereason can help you answer this question. Cybereason products hunt for threats within your network and eliminate them in real time. To Cybereason, real time means within seconds. Founded by former military hackers who don't play by the rules, they've built this experience into their platform. Harness ingenuity and imagination, not just code, to defeat attackers. Cybereason. Disrupt the adversary and let the hunt begin. Gain control of cyber risk with Tenable.io, the first vulnerability management platform built for today's elastic assets like cloud, containers, and web apps. Discover a fresh, asset-based approach that prioritizes vulnerabilities while seamlessly integrating into your environment. And improve ROI with the first elastic licensing approach based on assets, not IP addresses. Tenable.io delivers the data and context you need to secure your elastic attack surface. Start your free Tenable.io trial today by visiting Tenable.io. Speaking of visiting, make sure you visit Grim, grim-co.com, and check out their product Crossbow if you want to test the effectiveness of all of your security tools. And make sure you check out SANS Hackfest. The Pentest Hackfest is happening November 13th through the 20th. It will include Net Wars, Coinapalooza, Cyber City missions, and a super secret challenge. The Hackfest Summit is 13th through the 14th. You can go there and register by visiting sans.org/Hackfest17. Security Weekly listeners can save $300 off the two-day Hackfest Summit by using the discount code Hackfest17 at registration. And now this week, we're going to talk about a judge that has scaled back Trump's inauguration. That explains why the inauguration didn't have as many people as in the whole controversy. Oh, no, we're talking about something different. Sorry, I read that wrong. I apologize. That was a political joke. Sorry.
It was pretty funny.
It was meant to be funny, all right? So regardless of your political affiliations, just laugh, damn it, okay? Anyway, continue on. Jason, hey, welcome to the show.
Hey, Paul, good to be back. So, this article came from a blog post by the Naked Security blog. And what they were writing up about is a judge scaling back the amount of data requested by the government in a warrant to a web hosting company. And basically what occured is
that makes way more sense, by the way.
Yeah, it does make a bit of sense, honestly. So what happened was during Trump's inauguration, there was obviously protests and stuff like that. During the inauguration, there was a group of rather violent folks who were moving around as a group together. And the government believes that a particular website, disruptj20.org, was used as part of the efforts to coordinate activity between these individuals in the time leading up to the election. These individuals were armed with things like hammers and crowbars and sticks and all kinds of fun stuff. And the government rather believes the group had coordinated their efforts because they, in quote, moved as a cohesive unit for a dozen city blocks and, again, quote, engaged in violence and destruction as they went. As a result of this, 6 police officers were injured in the process of trying to deal with these folks as they moved through the city. So fairly straightforward. We've got a group of people, being violent, injured some cops, and just tore up a bunch of personal property. And so the government is doing their investigation on it. The problem that we ran into is when the government did their search warrant to collect information or hunt for evidence in regards to these individuals. The website was hosted by DreamHost, a web hosting company, and so they were the recipient of a lovely search warrant that basically requested any and all information associated with this domain name. and anything that was hosted on there, text messages, emails, etc., which I'm not sure why text messages would be SMS messages would be passing through a website, but whatever. DreamHost refused to comply with the search warrant, and their opposition was based on the idea that, hey, yes, there was a group of violent people that may or may not have been using this thing, but there are a whole bunch of other people, and as DreamHost put it up, somewhere around 1.3 million IP addresses of folks who viewed and interacted with the website. So they didn't want to turn over all of this information and pick up a bunch of folks who were engaging in their First Amendment rights to protest or read about information. So the government came back and said, hey, that's not what we're interested in. We only want the violent folks, or the folks that were involved with violence, and they weren't going to try and go after anybody for exercising their First Amendment rights. Nevertheless, this all got before a judge, obviously, and the judge came back and said, you know what, yes, we need to have this information on the server, but they started putting restrictions in place on what could be gathered up from the system, narrowed the time window that was available to the prosecutors to pull, and set up some safeguards so that they're basically overseeing the collection, and the prosecutors have to explain why it is they're requesting what they are. So they can't come back and just say, give us everything. Now the prosecutors have to go through and explain, no, here's what we're looking for and here's why, and justify that. All right, so that was a lot of information. So what's the real takeaway here? I think the thing that stuck out to me from this story is that organizations aren't stuck in a situation where they have no recourse when they're hit with a search warrant. They can respond back to this and push back legally to say, hey, we've got some problems with what you're requesting. DreamHost was concerned, obviously, for exposing people maybe to some persecution for exercising their First Amendment rights. Also, let's be a little cynical about it, I guess. They're a company, they don't, that provides web hosting. You don't want to be known as the company that sells out information the moment somebody requests it. So
I think that was the real motive for DreamHost, though, right?
Yeah.
Like, we'd love to sit here and say, well, they're in favor of everyone's rights. Like, they were just trying to protect their public image. And you can't blame them either. Like, regardless of their intentions, you really can't blame them, right? Like you said, Jason, they don't want to be known as the company that, oh, by the way, when the federal government comes knocking on our door, it's an open book policy and we just give them whatever we want. Like, they're going to put up some pushback to encourage people that want to host websites there, that they're going to protect their rights. It's a selling feature for DreamHost, essentially. The byproduct of that is actually good. And what I like about the story, Jason, is due process was followed, from what I can tell on your coverage of the story. So,
right, and that's what I like seeing about this is that DreamHost pushed back. Tech companies can find themselves in this situation a lot, where they are hosting some system or an application, and then law enforcement comes knocking on their door. You don't have to just give them whatever they want, particularly when, let's face it, I pictured the prosecutors probably didn't have anything nefarious with this. They just didn't want to spend the time to figure out what it is do we really want. Just give us everything.
Yeah.
And we'll take care of it. DreamHost said no. They pushed back. There were briefs being filed back and forth between the lawyers, which actually, if you read the motions, was kind of entertaining because there was some sniping in the briefs back at each other. There's definitely a situation in this situation. You've got some sensitive political overtones, right? For protesting the inauguration of a president. A lot of folks against Trump becoming president and his agenda. And at the same time, we've got some privacy and First Amendment issues that need to be considered. I personally think DreamHost did the right thing in pushing back. This obviously cost them some money. Yeah. Lawyers don't come cheap. And the federal government can lawyer up quite well. But they forced the government to step back, narrow down what it is they're looking for, actually provide some justification and think through what they were requesting. And ultimately, at the end of the day, I suspect they're going to get the information they need to perform their investigation without sweeping up anything that was on this system and was related to it. And I think that's positive. We need to make sure that our government is doing its job well. and make sure it's doing it right and not being lazy about it. And potentially, information once it gets gathered up and stuff like that, it could easily be. You had the WikiLeaks story here in the beginning about the CIA, right? It can be gathered up and distributed. There are ramifications for that to individuals socially. So I think this is a good thing. It's a good read. Recommend you go check it out. And like I said, if you find yourself in this situation, talk to your legal counsel. Find out if you have any recourse. If you feel like you're being hit with something that's overly broad and is a bit of a fishing expedition.
You wonder, though, folks, companies that don't have the legal resources available to DreamHost, how that's gone down. I mean, a lot of it's probably public record, I would imagine, search warrants and such. Is that? I don't know. In this case, it seemed like it was. You were able to read everything that transpired. It depends on the type of case, right? Maybe because this was a federal case.
Well, the court documents absolutely are public record, right? Those get filed, and you can search them down into your counties and things like that. Sometimes you have to pay for some of that access.
Yep. Okay.
But to perform those searches, the evidence that gets collected, that depends. If it doesn't come out during trial, then it probably never gets entered into the public record. Correct. As soon as it gets presented in trial, it's now part of the public record.
But there are a lot of other companies that have probably been in this similar situation where there is public record of them probably not filing, a grievance and pushing back, and your data has just gone out to whoever is requesting it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point. I mean, Paladin Security, for example, I'm a small company. I can't lawyer up the same way DreamHost can,
yeah, exactly.
Much less the feds. And so, there are limits to what I can do and still make my house payment. Mm-hmm. So that is always a problem, for the smaller businesses, right? When you get hit with some of this stuff, legal action is expensive. And, I joke around with my brother-in-law, who is a lawyer, that the one thing that is consistent is the lawyers always get paid.
Yeah.
So
very true. Well, Jason Wood from Paladin Security, thank you very much for joining me in this episode of Hack Naked News. Thank you, everyone, for listening and watching. We'll see you next time.